chess videos. Let's do some more Bobby Fischer. He is starting to pick up steam. He's playing hard a lot. I mean, chess, hard chess, a lot of chess. This particular series of games is going to be from the 1956 Eastern States Open in November. He's playing Feuerstein again, and he is playing as black, so he has met Feuerstein before. So let's see if Bobby can finally start getting something on Feuerstein. We're going to have the King's Indian defense again. This was one of Bobby's go-to openings in his youth. Bishop G7 bumping it out, Bishop G2 bumping that out, and then Bobby will castle. Get the castling done early in most of the games. His opponent will castle when you need to. That's probably the best way to work the King's Indian. Now Bobby is going to do, he wants to fight for this square and this square, so he's going to give his support for this pawn, right? Because once he brings his knight, then he's got, if he pushes this pawn, he's got a support square for his knight, right? And I know it's contested right now, but that's why he's not pushing all the way into this to bring out his queen or to retake with his knight a second move. And Feuerstein is going to contest that also. So here come Bobby, and now, kind of interesting switch up, huh? Not that it's necessarily a switch up, but he's going to develop his knights in such a way that he feels he can have the most power, so he's defending this square now. Instead of coming to this square, he's going to defend that square. Very interesting. And let's see, he went to e5, and Feuerstein will go to e4, and then Bobby will take the pawn here at this juncture, and the knight will take the pawn. So, possession of the center through occupying it with pieces and pawns, it looks like Feuerstein is doing. Now, Bobby has a small compact center. Just because you don't have pieces or pawns in your center does not mean you're not controlling it. Bobby's not out to sea here simply because he doesn't have pieces up there in the center. Both of his knights and that pawn is helping him maintain a secure center at this point, just so you're aware of that. You can either occupy it or control it, and Bobby is opting to control it. And now here comes the knight to c5, a good square for that knight. On c5, Feuerstein is going to support. And now, okay, so now we're seeing Bobby decide, let's shift the emphasis. He's going to use his knights. The board is not wide open, so, again, it should help favor knights if you play your knights correctly, right? So we're going to see the continuing development. Bobby bumps his a-pawn up. The queen will come up, queen to c2, and Bobby keeps right on trucking. He does this periodically. He messes up one of the wings, the pawn structures of the wings. It throws his opponent off kilter, potentially. So this is really kind of interesting to see how he does this. Feuerstein's going to pull his rook up because he wants to get his other rook into this game. Not necessarily to f1 to try to double the rooks on a closed file either, but he's just going to activate both of his rooks for now, and then he will attempt, perhaps, to open up some files. So this is a good way to do it. And Bobby will secure. He wants to make sure he maintains somewhat of a presence. He's a little bit cramped right now. You can see that. So he wants to get a little bit of breathing space in, but he wants to enable himself to be able to keep developing. And now Feuerstein is going to rearrange his bishop. Yes. See, yes, it's fianchetto. Yeah, you moved it as a developing move. This is true. But Bobby is giving indication that he wants to go onto that wing. So why not put your bishop back that can support that wing? That makes sense, doesn't it? Kind of interesting to see that. Bobby will bring his queen up a little bit. Queen comes to d2, and now Bobby's going to bring his rook, a partial open, no major problem here. Knight c2, they're both rearranging things for a wing side confrontation, it appears, and here comes Bobby's knight. It's a great centralized location, isn't it? I mean, it's obviously not permanent, right? So, I mean, a pawn can tickle that knight and tell it, hey, make up your mind. But Bobby is trying to get his piece. See, knights are tricky to coordinate, right? Sometimes we'll see and get, well, in fact, many times in games, we will see a rearranging to try to coordinate a knight with either a bishop or a rook. Something like that, right? So this is kind of what we're witnessing at this point, is we're saying, okay, what's going on? See, here comes the rook. Notice he didn't double the rooks yet. He doesn't necessarily have to. Maybe he's looking for something else. But he is activating the rooks. Always improve your pieces. Sitting here doesn't do a thing when you can pull it over toward the middle. Makes sense, right? Yeah, very, very easy to understand. And Bobby's going to rearrange his bishop now. Very interesting how he does this. And now, whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa. Bishop h6. So, perhaps trying to whittle down to draw first blood to maybe potentially cause some danger to Bobby's castled king. The trick here with this, it's a little bit early. Bobby has less space to function in. His knights aren't quite, he's not able to bring out and utilize his bishops or his other rook just yet. See, his white squared bishop is, for all intents and purposes, useless, and that's just going to gum up the middle if he does something like that. Yes, you get developed, but that doesn't really do you a lot of good if there's no actual objective of a coordinated either defense or offense. So just to push pieces out there, to push them out there, don't do that. So Bobby's a little bit cramped, and here Feuerstein, when you have your opponent cramped, let him stay cramped. Just slowly move into it. As a general rule, you don't want to exchange pieces because it will give your opponent more space, more ability to have more squares to coordinate his pieces together. It sounds like I'm just talking to talk, but I'm not. Listen to what's being said here. You need space to coordinate so that when you start working together with either a rook or a bishop, or a knight and a rook, or a knight and a queen, or a knight and a... You want to make sure the knight can either back up one of the other pieces, or one of the other pieces can back up the knight. You can't do that if you're cramped. So don't help your opponent if he's cramped. So Bobby immediately took advantage of that. He said, oh, yeah. I need the space. I'll exchange. This is great. Thank you. So when we look at this, you know, oh my gosh, here's the queen. Ooh, the queen's knocking on the door. Not to fret, again, to reiterate a very important principle so that you can maintain your calm, a one-piece attack, sincerely, really seldom succeeds. Technically speaking, I don't see this as a one-piece attack. It was an exchange, and Feuerstein probably shouldn't have done that, because this gives Bobby a chance to open some things up, get better space. Here we go. Yeah, right? That's correct. And the reason the pawn move here is so important, like I was saying, this bishop can't come to here, here, here. This doesn't do anything for you except move a piece at this point, right? So the bishop's out, which means you're not going to get, you can come to here, but what for? You can't bump over, you can't do anything with that, right? So 2 pieces is having a little bit of difficulty because you're a little bit cramped. The best way to solve that, bump that pawn. So you can see why that makes sense rather than moving another piece just for the sake of development. Yes, you get uncoordinated, it still keeps things muddy if you're just going to move pieces like that, right? Back and forth. So Bobby properly is saying, oh, okay, now I have a chance for more space. Boy, a long-winded explanation, but this is a great lesson to learn how to keep yourself from getting cramped. If you are cramped, how to alleviate your cramping, especially if your opponent makes a minor error. And it's not like it was a blunder, it just wasn't the best choice. And look again, the queen's not doing anything over there. So what did he accomplish other than help Bobby get space? Kind of something to look toward, to look out a few moves when you're playing your game, right? That makes sense. This is really interesting how he handles this. And now the bishop, oh, of course, now, see? The difference now is the bishop does have a very good use and a really good square. And, of course, now the other rook can jump in this. So Feuerstein did a little bit of a bobble, is all we're saying. He's going to maneuver so that he can continue on trying to get something coordinated, and Bobby comes to here. Now you see why when you're cramped it's okay to, I mean, even if it's the queens, if you need to exchange a rook, if you need to exchange a knight and a bishop in order to get space, now you can begin to coordinate something. Look at the power of that bishop from just a couple of moves ago. That's pretty impressive to see, right? That's nice to look at, and it makes sense that, seeing this, it makes sense that he's going to go ahead and bring the bishop further along, improve the position of your bishop, of course, and exchange a piece. Very nice, yeah. You say, well, maybe I wanted that bishop. No, exchange it. Give yourself a little bit more space so that your coordination among pieces and pawns can improve. Sometimes you're too cramped to do much. This is a great lesson here. He takes it now at this point. Interestingly enough, now this is in Fischer's early career. At this point, he agreed to a draw. Now we'll see as we go forward through, as we develop along with Bobby. He's still just a 13-year-old here. We will see him do this much less. He shouldn't have drawn because he has the initiative, for instance. And the commentator really has an excellent, he's tickling the rook, so get the rook out of the way. And now look at this. Check. Very nice. Look how Bobby continues to exchange pieces in order to get a better coordination with his other pieces. This is fun to see. I mean, this is what could have happened, right? So now he forces the exchange of queens, which is entirely helpful for him because now he's got the file. Isn't that nifty to see? And then if the knight will do something like this, now you've really got something, right? So later on, as Bobby picks it up and develops, he plays through hundreds and hundreds of more games, of course. He continues going to the tournaments. He builds himself to where he realizes, you know, I don't need to draw so much. I can actually put this together just like we're going to do. So anyway, doggone it, I forgot to shut off my heater. I'm sorry about that. That's what I wanted to show you. Hang on, and I've got another game I'm going to show you here in just a moment. Okay, let's take a look at this second game of Bobby Fischer. In this one, it's in the same tournament, the Eastern States Open in 1956. He's playing Hertland here, and Bobby is white. So let's see what we've got. Oh, we've got a Ruy Lopez. So let's see what happens here. E4, E5. And Bobby will put the classic bishop out here. He'll tickle the bishop. Bobby will move back. Rather than chase it, there's options, but rather than pushing the B5 yet, he's going to further develop in this particular instance, which is what I would do. I would want to do that as black myself, but there's always options in chess. It's what makes chess so much fun, yes? Bobby will castle. Black will get prepared to castle. Always a good thing. Bobby brings his rook over. Now, it is important to castle early, yes? In some openings, there is a move order that's probably pretty important to follow. Here, Hertland castles, but the main line is to, now at this point, once you bring your other knight out, now is the time to push the B5. That's the main line. And if you don't do that, it's a, in the Ruy is so well known that there are certain steps you need to do in order. Here, that's the trigger. Take the knight now at this point. That's interesting, isn't it? Just a small little thing like that. But it's all these small things that you accumulate in your mind that gives you a better chess ability to play chess better. And now, see, he's got the double pawns on the C and the D file is partially open. So this might make this really interesting. And now, look what that does. It eliminates black's central pawns. Now, whether that's significant or not, of course, depends on how the players will play. But it's things like that you want to keep your eyes peeled on the position. That's why you always want to pay attention to the position. Potentially now, this can be an open board game which will favor bishops. Yeah, the long-range pieces. So let's keep our eye open and see what happens here. And the bishop will come to C5, a great square for the bishop. Bobby is going to prepare to take away that position of that bishop, certainly. That's a great position. It really is. And he'll bring his rook into this, tickling the knight. Look at this. Nice kind of double duty for that pawn, isn't it? Tickle that bishop and yet give your knight support. That's kind of cool to see, isn't it? And it's straight up the center. Very nice, very nice. So the bishop will come back to D6, and now Bobby goes to bishop G5. There are better... It was... Yeah, that's all right. It's not the best, but... Hertland is going to exchange that knight for his bishop. So he leaves the... No, he does not. Bobby lost his bishop. So we each have a bishop and a knight here. But it did open up for the exchange of the ladies. Opened up the D file, didn't it? So the rook will take. Don't start freaking out. You say, ooh, Bobby's not developed fully yet and all that. Yeah, that's true, but we're early in the game and there's nothing really coming in threatening. And notice what I observed, because of the way black played this, he doesn't have any central pawns, but Bobby has a pair of doubled pawns in that center aisle, right? File. So if it gets blockaded, that can be a detriment in some respects to black. It'll take away his space, but it also might affect Bobby. But they don't have the bishop pair, so it's not as critical, right? So this is kind of interesting to see what happens. Well, the knight takes care of it immediately. Blam. Take that pawn. Yeah. And now the bishop will come back to e3, tickle the bishop will come back, and then the bishop will come to f5. Interestingly, again, early in his career, Bobby went ahead and pulled a draw. He said, yeah, let's draw. You can kind of, yeah, there's nothing real advantageous in either position at this point. So they pulled a draw, but it's just kind of fun to see how some openings are played and how that affects the position of the board, which will affect our decisions on which pieces do we want to exchange and which pieces do we want to keep. That's always important. I know there's a trillion things to have consideration in your minds, but that's how we get good at chess. So it's all good. We just keep day by day learning more. So anyway, hey, thanks for watching my Backyard Professor Chess videos. Remember, be good, do well, have fun, sleep good, make lots of friends, smile, be courteous, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent, to almost quote the Scouts there for a bit. But anyway, more to come just soon. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next Backyard Professor Chess of videos.